Yeah, today is Friday. I'm thinking it's October the 22nd, 21st or 22nd. Today's program is going to be a little different, but I think it's necessary that we deal with some issues that are not so comfortable. And some of this will be sort of like retro current. The whole issue about the mandate as it relates to Lightfoot, and not so much city workers per se, but specifically the Chicago Police Union, Fraternal Order of Police. That seemed to be turning into a real messy situation. And that's basically because you got two individuals that have their personalities. And one of the things that happened somewhere on Facebook, I posted one thing where the mayor and the president of the union was discussing something, some damn creature make a comment, stop promoting this white supremacist. You know, it took everything I could muster not to comment back to her. You know, you don't want to see what somebody else say or post. Move around. You worried about white supremacists. That ain't what the issue is here. And you Negroes need to stop this foolishness. The man got a point. And you need to hear his point and her point. But just because somebody challenges her, don't make them a white supremacist. And you're going to see some other things in this program today that's going to seem a little ugly. And that is that white folk in the suburbs, the police, they challenging Fox Authority. They want to be able to override her in these weak butt charges she be putting on people and letting them go. Now that makes them a white supremacist too, huh? And now some of the people in Indiana are saying, look, Chicago police, if they don't want you in Chicago, come out to Indiana and we'll try to accommodate you, woo, woo, woo. So what do that make them? That make everybody in Indiana a white supremacist just because they don't agree with what's happening with these two so-called backbones of the Democratic Party? Get the hell out of here. Come on, Mari, before I get started on that, because I don't want to go there. But I'm so impatient with you damn Negroes. Anytime a white person say something, you holler white supremacist. But hell, I don't think I'm a white supremacist. But I agree with them sometimes. Hell, if you ain't gonna keep them in jail, then you don't deserve our support. We will figure out another way to get them in jail and keep them off the street killing folk. That ain't white supremacy. That's just common sense. It is. And because somebody got a different attitude or a different personality than another one, and both of them are sort of high profile, come on, time out. Stop making excuses. A lot of what's going on, and now some of the aldermans, you're going to get to that, but I'm telling you up front, some of the aldermans are putting forth, taking steps to repeal some things as it relates to this situation in Chicago. Rightfully so. Never should have been allowed to walk in there, no politician, and strip everybody of everything. That was stupid on the alderman's part in the beginning. So now the aldermen seem to be waking up and saying, wait a minute, this person running around here just thinking Chicago is her own little thing, making laws, making mandates, doing whatever the hell she want to do, don't want to listen to no input from the aldermen. It's time somebody stand up. But that don't make them a white supremacist. And those of you that think that me saying that is woo-woo, boo-boo, get away from here. You know what I'm saying? Don't want to hear it. We are going to put forth issues that need to be talked about because just because a white person challenged this insanity, don't make them a white supremacist, boo. All right, come on, man.
Twice a week and pay for it themselves.
Imagine a world.
Yeah, I don't know why we waiting on these
only pull-ups have Disney graphics that fade when wet.
money makers for this system to move around, let me just say this. You know, I must say, it is interesting that the police, the particular president of the union, are making such a fuss, because who would they send to enforce compliance to the COVID, whatever you call it? It'll be the police, or it'll be the firemen. And yeah, people like me, we would like to think, the hell, if you're gonna come tell me that I need a mask on
2016, I was
or be vaccinated, then you probably need to have on a mask and be vaccinated too. You know what I'm saying? So these things have more than one side to them. But then again, there's another side. Maybe the police and the firemen know something that we just don't. Maybe the first responders in the hospitals know something that we just don't. Remember a few months ago, they were the most sacred people in America? And now you want to fire them, destroy them, take their job, take their pension? All right, brother, come on with this.
Former FOP president. Angelo's death comes on the same day the current president vowed the union will fight the city of Chicago's vaccine mandate.
It literally has been like everything else with this mayor for the last 2.5 years. Do it or else, because I said so.
In a social media post today, the Chicago Fraternal Order of Police president urging his members to not comply with Chicago's fast-approaching vaccine mandate. The message coming on the same day former FOP president Dean Angelo died from COVID-19. Angelo was president from 2014 to 2017, and leading up to his death, he was in intensive care in critical condition. All city workers, including police officers, have until Friday to submit proof of vaccination or be placed into a no-pay status. Their only other option is to take 2 COVID tests weekly at their own expense. The current FOP president now promising legal action.
We're notifying the city the demand for expedited arbitration, along with filing a unfair labor practice with the labor board. Tomorrow, we will be filing court paperwork for a temporary restraining order.
This was Mayor Lori Lightfoot earlier this month.
There will be consequences if people are not complying with what the policy is by October 15th.
The mayor saying the citywide vaccine mandate is about keeping workers healthy. And tonight we asked City Hall for a comment on the legal action coming from the FOP. City Hall responded by reiterating employees who don't report whether they're vaccinated by Friday will be placed on no-pay status, and the unvaccinated will be required to get tested twice a week and pay for it themselves.
Well, now, you know, since that, a judge has told the person from the Fraternal Order of Police to chill out, shut up, and stay off of social media, encouraging, or whatever he's doing, union members. Since then, he asked that judge recuse herself from the process, and she said, I ain't going. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. So, you know, when I say retrocurrent, that's exactly what I mean. These issues here was issues that we had on the board, and they're just too real for us not to address. So we're addressing them. But some things have already changed. Quite a few areas have complied, but there are still those areas and individuals that have not. And like anything and everything else in society, there are going to be those that comply and those that don't. But at the end of the day, people don't have to follow the herd. All right, brother, let's go on with this here.
That moment turned Scott Smith from an outraged father to the left's new embodiment of the right-wing domestic terrorist. But what was the real reason Smith showed up at that June school board meeting in the first place? Because weeks earlier, he says his daughter was sexually assaulted by a boy wearing a skirt in the girls' bathroom at school. What's worse is that school officials attempted to cover it up.
Do we have assaults in our bathrooms or our locker rooms regularly?
To my knowledge, we don't have
any records of assaults occurring in our restroom. The issue of assaults taking place or transgender students assaulting other students in the restroom, Time magazine in 2016 called that a red herring. The predator transgender student is, or person, simply it does not exist.
But that's not all. According to the stunning expose by the Daily Wire's Luke Rosiak that covered all of this, it wasn't just Loudoun school officials trying to brush this under the rug, but the county's Soros-backed prosecutor as well. Scott Smith joins me now exclusively. Scott, first of all, thank you for coming on the show. I know this is an emotionally a grueling time for you and your family. Tell us, if you can, what happened to your daughter and how Loudoun County officials handled it.
Hi, and thanks for having us on the show. This has been a crazy 3 months, but basically my daughter was sexually assaulted at the end of school in May of last year, and you know, I went to the school board meeting, you know, to see what was going on because I had seen all this crazy stuff on TV. And I went to see what was going on after my daughter had been assaulted, and you know, there was some crazy stuff being talked about. You know, people for things, for against things. I wasn't there for any. You know, I'm good with gay people, cross-gender people, everybody, anybody who wants to be a good American. I'm good with. I went there to find out why our children weren't safe. And the next thing I know, you know, another parent activist, you know, approached my wife and started antagonizing her, and I turned around and said stop, and then I tried to tell the lady what had happened to my daughter, and she looked me dead in the face and said, "That's not what happened." And that just struck me, like, how do you know what happened? You don't even know me. And then she kept going, and the police came, and, you know, the officer was trying to help out. He said we needed to be kind to one another. And I said, okay. And I turned my head, and she started in on me again and threatened my family business, my livelihood, everything that, you know, gives my family what we need. She threatened to ruin my business on social media. The next thing I know, I'm getting touched from all over the place. I didn't know who was touching me, who was grabbing me. I turn around, the police are grabbing me, and next thing I know, I'm tackled to the ground. I'm just shocked and horrified.
Do you feel like the individuals...
I do want to say, though, that we support our first responders and our law enforcement. This didn't have to happen. And this could have been handled a lot differently. You know,
but Scott, I got to ask you this.
The prosecutor knew about my daughter.
I got to ask you this. Yeah, I want to ask you about that. The prosecutor knew about your daughter, but the school board officials at that meeting, when they were drinking their Diet Coke or whatever they were drinking, they seemed bored by the entire conversation, citing some article and some other media publication that had nothing to do with your, you know, certainly what happened to your daughter or any other possible assault. Did they seem to have a compassionate or concerned reaction at that meeting in June?
To what? Just what was going on in general?
Yeah, just all of it. All the concerns of all the parents being raised.
No, they were tuning us all out. They were looking away. They were reading magazines. It was a joke. I believe, and I'd never been to a school board meeting before, so I didn't know what to expect, but I believe that they had full intentions on trying to shut that thing down early, because every time we clapped, you know, or tried to support somebody, we got scolded for it. You know, why aren't we allowed to clap? Why aren't we allowed to boo? You know, everybody has their own opinion. Why can't everybody just get along and discuss our differences?
Okay, Omar, we can go to the next. We can take a break off of this. Now look, Now this is just a plain white man. Got treated like a Negro person. So I guess until he got treated, he was a white supremacist. I guess he's a white supremacist because he questioned why a dude was allowed to walk into a girl bathroom and rape, assault his daughter. See what I'm saying? These are things that have happened. And for people to keep sitting back trying to pretend that it's a racial issue, I ain't going. And I don't care what you think. A lot of this has got to do with this new group of creatures that have been elected by those that were supposed to have common sense and have values and morals and principles and be upright, not paying attention. Like you said, he had never been to no school board meeting, but once they took off his daughter, dude took off his daughter walking around in a dress in order to do what? Do just what that creature did. Went into the girl's bathroom and assaulted a female in the disguise of something they say, oh, you can't talk about that. They have more rights than you do. Go to hell. We can talk about it. A person should not be allowed to put on a dress and walk into a girl's bathroom and you know it's a dude and take her off. And yes, a parent should have a right to come to a school board meeting without getting beat and stomped and dogged out because he wants justice for his daughter. You understand? And because you, sensitive Negro, have somehow lost your mind, don't keep blaming everything, oh, that's a white supremacist. Well, the one you elected to the White House, what in the hell is he? He told you what he was. So let's get past it. Now, see, can you find this piece about this black lieutenant governor that these individuals have determined don't have a right to voice his opinion as it relates to something that he thought was out of order. Just think about what's happening here. Yeah, the day we going there. See, can you find this piece, brother?
For several days now, I have been viciously attacked because of a clip video where I talk about removing the sexualization of children from the classrooms in our public education system. Of course, the media and those on the left have tried to change the focus from education to the LGBTQ community, specifically that I hate them. Let me be clear. I will fight for and protect the rights of all citizens, including those in the LGBTQ community, to express themselves however they want. That is their right as Americans, and I don't think that government has any role in telling them otherwise. However, the idea that our children should be taught about concepts of transgenderism and be exposed to sexually explicit materials in the classroom is abhorrent. Earlier in the year, my office released a report about indoctrination in public schools. In it, there was reference to a book titled George that a parent found in their child's school. The book is recommended for elementary school students. The main character is a biological boy in elementary school who wants to remove his genitals so he can become a girl. This book is not the only example. In Lawn Boy, there is sexually explicit content, including an animal performing sexual favors on a human. Unfortunately, there's more. The images you are about to see are from a book that is currently in North Carolina schools. It's called Gender Queer. I want to warn you that the pictures you are about to see are explicit. I hate to put these in a video, but I feel it's necessary to show you exactly what I'm referring to. Now, as you look at these photos, I challenge you to describe them as anything other than filth. These materials do not belong in public schools. For those who are calling on me to resign, for those who are saying that I don't represent North Carolina values, let me ask you something. Does forcing these on children represent your values? Do you really believe that these images should be shown in the classroom? This whole thing has been an attempt to once again change the argument and silence voices on the right. Well, let me tell you plainly, right here and right now, I will not back down. I will not be silent, and I will not be bullied into submission. I will continue to fight for the rights of our children to receive an education that is free from sexual concepts that do not belong in the classroom. And I don't care who doesn't like it. If you are with me, share this video and sign the petition on our Facebook page. We cannot allow the left to bully us. And I need patriots that will join me in saying, enough is enough. Thank you, and may God bless you.
Yeah, I guess because he said patriots, that make him a white supremacist, huh? See how crazy we've gotten? What was wrong with what that man just said, huh? Nothing. So how did you, Negro, how did you get so sophisticated that anything and everything you run and holler behind racism? What that man was talking about is not racism, y'all. Man, talking about just plain old common sense. And then what happens is when they talk about critical race theory, now the Negro really want to run from that because he or she is ashamed of the history. So, you confused. But this new thing that like that lieutenant governor was talking about, you just want to run your mouth and try to pretend that all of your ancestors that, according to your preacher, is burning in hell right now and forevermore. Because they would have said that what we are living through right now is hell-bound experiences. But all of a sudden, you and your dumb butt preacher say that it's okay to do anything. And I was telling somebody this morning, if I was ever called upon to identify whether the student was a male or a female, if something happened, I'd have a hard time. Because I'd be watching these young people, but I cannot tell by their dress, by their mannerism, by their posture, what they are from a distance. You understand? That's a shame. It really is. You should be able to know what a person is. But now they have bullied you, us, into not even being able to ask the child, are you a boy or are you a girl? You can't ask them that. Well, hell, if you don't ask, how you gonna know? I saw a boy yesterday, his hair so long, his hair was longer than any braids I ever seen on a girl. And I don't know if they was real or not. But I couldn't ask the man, what's up with them braids? They so decent, man. Woo woo. I can't say that. Ain't that something? How in the hell are elders supposed to be able to encourage, coach, and maybe direct young people if we can't ask them questions? Because you Christians done got in these positions, and now you want to control everything and dictate everything, and if a person ain't of your persuasion, now they got to be something that you got to try to attack and so forth. No, I ain't going. This show today is about common sense. Show today is about everything ain't about racism. Everything ain't about white supremacy. Just because they question something that some of us grew up knowing right from wrong. And we still know that some things don't change. Under no circumstance should that girl, the daughter of that man, been subjected to that for the pleasure of this rapist. But yet the principal, the school board, and this society, and it really got its biggest boost under Obama. Yes, it did. And here you all trying to make like it's okay. How would you feel if your daughter or your son was taken advantage of by a faker? But the society said, the state's attorney said, the mayor said, the president, former president said, oh, it's okay. Well, no, it can't be okay because had they had on a pair of pants, my daughter wouldn't have came into the bathroom. Had they had on this would have happened. But now you say, oh, it don't matter. Everybody can just do what they want to do. Don't worry about it. It's cool until it happens. And then when it happens, what do? You brutalize the girl's father. Ain't that something? All right, brother, let's go on to this next thing, to showing where people going to be hollering, all these suburban chiefs are racist. Run that, brother.
In the Austin neighborhood where no one has been charged. Fox 32's Dane Placco is live with the latest on this. Dane?
Yes, Sylvia, Cook County State's Attorney Kim Foxx was clearly angry and came out firing on Mayor Lightfoot, other political leaders, and leadership at the Chicago Police Department at a news conference held this morning at this Veterans Building here on the South Side. Now, Foxx defended her office's handling of last week's deadly shooting in the Austin neighborhood, which was captured on video. One man was killed and 2 others were injured when a gunfight erupted outside a home. Several suspects were taken into custody, but the state's attorney's office released them over the weekend, saying witnesses were not cooperating. And that set off Mayor Lori Lightfoot, who yesterday blasted prosecutors for not filing charges, saying there is clearly enough evidence to at least hold the suspects on gun charges. Today, Foxx responded, accusing the mayor and other political leaders of trying to score cheap political points.
And yet I find myself here today, having to respond to a narrative that was given by the mayor yesterday regarding a case that is still under investigation. It was inappropriate. It was wrong. There were statements made by the mayor yesterday regarding the evidence in this case that simply weren't true.
Cases in the media and said it's wrong for her office it's wrong to pressure her office to charge cases when they're shaky, especially given the long list of convictions that have been overturned in Cook County.
And as an elected official, I cannot operate under a premise that anything goes in a time of crisis. Mm-hmm. We did that in the 80s and the 90s. And we're paying for that today with wrongful convictions that are being overturned.
And Foxx said she would like to meet with Mayor Lightfoot. It called for a meeting between the mayor's office, police leadership, and also the detectives and the leadership over at Area 5. That's over at Grand and Central, the police agency that handled the specific police area that handled last week's Austin shooting. She called them out specifically during this morning's news conference, saying that there were problematic cases they've been consistently sending to her office over the last few months, although she wouldn't delve into details. Clearly, she was very angry about the mayor's comments yesterday and responded somewhat in kind, although she said that she is, by ethical standards, bound in what she can say, limited in what she can say about why they chose not to charge those particular suspects in custody. Mayor expected to respond at a news conference a little later this afternoon. That's the situation for now. Sylvia, back to you.
All right. Thanks so much, Dane.
And as you know, apparently from what I read, or thought I read, they might have met. But once again, personality clashes. And it didn't turn out too good at all. And I think one of the things that we need to understand is this. You know, you won't be able to blame white folk after this situation we got in Chicago has run its course. You got this black female that's over the state's attorney, and this other over the city. Now you can't say that you didn't have people in top position. So what is the problem? Huh? I mean, what is the problem? Even they can't, both of them are so-called legal practitioners when they are not doing what they're doing now. And both of them, there it is. So who among you now is going to say this is racism? I mean, where's the racism at in this? Where's the racism between Foxx and Lightfoot? What is the problem there? Is it possible, just possible, that something is really out of order? All right, then we're going to get some more stuff as it relates to, these people and some things that they want to happen. But this is something I found sort of interesting. Indiana got this big old sign telling these policemen, and some of them have turned in their badges. It's a hell of a thing, Jack. You getting ready to retire, and then somebody tell you, if you don't take this shot, if you don't do this, you ain't gonna get no pension, and we gonna take your badge, and you ain't gonna have no job. Man, there's gotta be a better way. Run this, man.
City's vaccine mandate.
And while the pay isn't as good, there are fewer COVID restrictions. Natalie's back now with more. Natalie?
And not only is the welcome mat out, they are on the bullhorn, not afraid of offending Chicago leadership. Indiana does not have a statewide mask mandate like Illinois, and departments that border Illinois do not require the vaccine. Law enforcement leaders and elected officials are hoping Chicago officers will flock to the state at a time when recruiting is down. The invitation comes as the Chicago mayor and Chicago Police Union continue to spar over the city's vaccine mandate.
This presented an opportunity just because of what's going on over there. And if there are officers that are not getting paid, we pay our officers. So if you're looking to stay in law enforcement, this is an option for you.
Sergeant Fifield says Indiana State Police recruit outside Indiana all the time, so this is not a new tactic. Elected officials like Indiana Senator Mike Braun want Illinoisans to know taxes are lower in the Hoosier state.
If you're in a place like Chicago that has to put up with a heavy-handed government that's free and easy with mandates, and it's either our way or the highway, I think there'll be consequences. People will make decisions to maybe change where they live.
Indiana State troopers make about 10 grand less than Chicago police officers once they graduate the state's police academy. But anyone interested in applying can visit indianatrooper.com and fill out an interest card. Don?
Now, it's interesting. Interesting. Because, people got their opinion about Indiana. I know once upon a time, and I said this in other shows, I was in Indiana taking care of some business at an auction place, and they had KKK on the wall up there, and I looked at it. I'm being from down south, I wasn't all that upset. So what? I've seen it before. But the time came, and I needed to have some information. So all of these Negroes sitting around me, they looking so untouchable. So when I asked the white man, not only did the white man, who you supposed to just know because he's from Indiana and he's in this auction house with KKK on the wall, would be hating a Negro from Chicago. This white man, not only did he tell me, he actually escorted me to where I needed to go and gave me the information that I needed to have. But the Negroes made it clear, nigga, don't say nothing to me. You could see it in their demeanor. Their kinetics was, why you here? This is only for this. So don't just say that Indiana has extended this because all of the people that's in the situation they're in because of this situation here are racist. You know what I'm saying? Are bigots. Are white supremacists. It ain't so, y'all. And matter of fact, y'all don't talk about it too much now that you got a Democratic administration in Washington. But just a little while ago, everything was about racism, white supremacy. Now you got what you got in the White House. It's like, you just use that when you want to be petty. Stop being so petty. People can go across the state line, their taxes lower, they can get a job, there it is. So what's wrong with that? At least it's got more sense in it than what you, Negro politicians, have allowed. And I'm telling you, those of you that look at this program and those that listen to the other milieus, man, we're going to be figuring out a way to find somebody that will file a class action suit, will get an injunction, will do something. This thing that you can become a policeman in a Negro community or any community in Chicago and other places in this country without being a citizen, that's an insult to to every descendant of slaves, to everyone that's been brutalized and killed in the Negro community. Now a sucker that ain't even a citizen can come over here and come into the neighborhood and brutalize you, kill you, and ain't even a citizen. And you damn politicians know this, and you allowed this. Had to be all the way from Springfield to City Hall. And it must be all the way from Washington to wherever else it's at. Oh, but we're going to be working on this. Yeah, everybody that's an immigrant, cool. Ain't no thing. But damn it, if you ain't a citizen, don't be getting no badge and no gun and no stick and no taser and no authorization to come to the Negro community and act like you superior to us. And here we are, done been to war, done been to college, done everything you're supposed to do. And you devils sitting in these positions make decisions that, no, well, we don't want you. But why? Why? I got the qualification. Well, your attitude, your psychological. And then you damn aldermans go along with that. But then you allow a person, a thing that ain't even a citizen to become a policeman. How did you let that happen? Why did you let that happen? Yeah, we're going to keep talking about that. And we're going to hope we can find the right lawyer. And I'm going to tell them they need to find a Jewish lawyer probably. Because if they get a black one, he's going to be too easy to buy. But if they get a Jewish one, maybe he will understand or she will understand why that is important to those that are oppressed and being subjected to a Holocaust right now. And now you're going to bring somebody in to their community and give them a badge. And they might have just been kicked out of their country for doing the same thing they finna come in your community and do. And I bet if they investigate, a lot of this stuff that's been done to black folk is probably by somebody that ain't necessarily a citizen on the police force. Go on to the next one, man.
Over the department's vaccine mandate continues.
Mayor Lightfoot shared the numbers today when it comes to city workers and compliance, and police and firefighters are at the bottom of the list.
Anthony Ponce live tonight with what it all could mean. Anthony.
Yeah, Dawn and Corey, outside of the police and fire department, the compliance rate among city employees is in the mid-90 percentile. So these two sides, though, CPD and the police union, appear to be no closer to an agreement. And here at CPD headquarters, a little bit earlier today, the very first group of non-compliant officers turned in their badges and they were put on a no-pay status.
I mean, she was at a game last night without a mask. Come on, does anybody think this is really about stopping the spread? This is all about total control by this mayor. She is a miserable human being.
The stalemate gets even more bitter over the city's vaccination mandate. Officers who haven't reported their vaccination status or agreed to the temporary testing option are now losing their badges and paychecks. Over 4,000 Chicago police officers, or 35% of the force, are still non-compliant.
I really hope that the men and women of the Chicago Police Department, who have been fed a lot of stuff, that's the most polite, appropriate word I can use in this forum, are not going to ruin their careers over going to a website and saying yes or no.
While the police union argues the city's violated its members' contractual rights and is pushing for an outside arbitrator to step in.
We are now at the point where we are 100% against what they're putting forward, and they are 100% against what we're putting forward. There is never going to be a negotiated settlement to this. The only settlement is going to be at an arbitrator's table.
The city maintains its bargaining in good faith and reminds officers that the temporary testing option ends on December 31st.
So we need all of our workers within all of our departments and agencies to step up and do their part to end the pandemic by getting fully vaccinated no later than that date.
And the FOP has filed a temporary restraining order to try to force the city to go to the arbitration table. That temporary restraining order right now in the hands of a judge. We are live outside CPD headquarters tonight. Anthony Ponce, Fox 32 Chicago.
She takes a picture.
No.
And in that picture is this.
This is a messy situation here. And, you know, other cities, you know, they done the same thing, gave mandates and terminated people and all of this. They have. But it just goes to show you. You thought you were so free in America. You thought everything was so lovely. Couldn't wait to get a Democrat back in charge. And now look at you. Losing your whole everything. Then there are people,
black men,
you know,
black
and I ain't gonna get into that.
What?
There are people that are dying and they've been vaccinated. And yeah, you're gonna say it because of something else. Well, I don't know about none of that. But like I said, you know, and I said this a while back, you have to think very careful and clear about what your point is about the vaccination. I remember back in the day when they used to shoot us in our arm, you had that big old thing on your arm. I'm lucky, I ain't got nothing on me. But I remember people had that big old scar left on their arm. But nobody asking what was in that. You ain't asking what's in this damn marijuana. You know what I'm saying? You ain't asking what's in these other drugs you taking or this so-called food you eating. But when they tell you that the vaccine might keep you here, you know, people got their reasons. But that ain't the point with me. Because like I said, I think it's personal. The point with me is the dictatorial tone. You know what I'm saying? This, because I said it. This attitude, this I'm God complex. That's my only little problem. I understand. You know, people get a mandate, if you ain't got it, then you got to unmask. Like in order for us to do what we're doing, we have to deal with that. But I was going to deal with it anyway when I got to it. And I did get to it before that. But then you still got people running around, still want to take your temperature. So, I mean, don't care what you do. You got the card in your pocket. You got it in your system. And then some little nothing-minded person still want control, so they want to go to Walgreens, buy a thermometer, and check your wrist or get in your face, taking your temperature. So what was the point of getting vaccinated? What was the point of the mask? What is the point of doing all of this if somebody's still running around violating your privacy, getting all up on your body, all up in your face, taking the temperature? All in your forehead. So you see, it's something wrong with this whole scenario. Everybody just using it to do them. You know what I'm saying? So whatever you comply to, it's going to always be something else that the God complex of this time allow some little nothing creature to be able to disrupt your life, your livelihood, and your family. You see? So that's why a lot of people don't want to go, because they can see through it. Now let's listen to this, brother. We're going from spot to spot, because I don't want to be too heavy. Let's give time. Let's go on to the next piece, but let me just say this. See, that's what Retro Current Team is about, the Shrine of Ancestry Remembrance. Speak on it. Dr. Wesley Muhammad, he's giving us some good information. And you see, when this politician asked
the Negro
me and
even more.
Told me, look, this is what I want you to do as it relates to this, da-da-da-da. So we've been doing that. Me and Amara have been doing that, bringing y'all information. And then the politician did just what a politician do. He let some white folks tell him that what we was doing was something else. Now, I ain't talked to him. I had somebody reach out to him. I ain't heard from him. But you see that information there? You got that information right in your house. That's what we do here. We bringing you something in your house so you can understand that you running around thinking that this marijuana thing is some savior. But that is a sort of dated presentation. But the fact is voiced now. Not only do you have opioids and heroin and fentanyl creating havoc, you got these creatures making billions of dollars, and just finding that one or two or a few black so-called business people in on the game in Chicago. But they got you smoking some to turn the man into a female and the female into a man. Back to where we started, ain't it? Boy walking around calling himself transgender, put on a dress, go into the bathroom and take off a natural girl. And they was white. See? And then black lieutenant governor say, look at here, what y'all doing, it don't make sense in the school. See? And now this brother done told you. So if we don't bring it to you on this level, dude like me talking, presenting it, you know, that's a little bit different than some of these other people. These white folk and Asians and others that trying to tell you this, that, and another. Now I'm bringing it to you raw. And I bring it to you in your house. The white folks say, no, we want to be barracudas. And now that the governor done gave $12 billion so you can get Narcan out to everybody and this and that, white folks we were talking to and da-da-da-da-da, then the little politician, I guess he said, well, we need to just stay on that. I don't know. Like I said, I ain't talked to him. But this is what you need. You need that type of information that Dr. Muhammad is presenting so you can tell your children, tell yourself, slow down. Because you are really turning yourself into the opposite of what you are naturally. Now that's your business. But if you don't know, then it's my business to bring forth some information to help you. Now here's a piece that talks about, you know, making money off the Negro. We used this maybe a couple of years ago, but I want to use it again. Run this, brother. 1954.
The Negro needs even more. He needs to feel important and appreciated. This need is a very real and important one. It shows up even in many of the Negro's shopping habits. Anyone who sells or wants to sell to the Negro customer should know about some of these habits. 3 habits in particular play a big part in every sales transaction. To begin with, most Negroes buy by brand. They ask for products by name. They're quick to turn down off brands. Do you wonder why? Well, listen to what this customer is thinking.
That last hat I bought just didn't hold up at all.
You see, for a long time, the Negro has been sold a lot of shoddy, second-class merchandise. So now he asks for name brands in order to make sure he gets his money's worth. Buying by brand, that's the first important Negro buying habit. Now for the second. The Negro buys good quality merchandise. Symbols of quality and prestige are very important to the Negro customer. This woman, for example, is buying fine crystalware. But she is also buying the admiration and approval of her friends and relatives. Listen to her thoughts.
My, isn't it beautiful? I can hardly wait to show it to Sally and Joan.
It's a well-known fact that many Negro customers are influenced by the opinions of others. What their friends may think of a certain item often decides whether or not the sale is made. So remember, the Negro buys quality merchandise. That's the second important point. And here's the third thing to remember when selling to a Negro customer. When he specifically asks for one thing, don't try to sell him something else. Don't try to switch him at the point of sale. If you do, he'll probably react something like this.
Doesn't he think I've got the money to pay for it?
There's a reason for this reaction. Again, because he's had experience with cheap merchandise, the Negro resents being offered a substitute. He wants to be sold on quality, not price. The Negro buys by brand, he buys quality, and he doesn't like to be switched at point of sale. These are the keys to selling the Negro customer. Another point. The Negro family does things together, as a group. The family works as a unit.
Now, think 1954. Lord have mercy, where did the Negro go? Because this black African-American foolishness you have become, You see? That's what the Negro was striving for. See? To be respected. Here you are still spending more money than damn near, well, you're number 9 as it relates to the amount of money you spend compared to all other nations. And you ain't even a nation. Feel me? But that's when you was a Negro, you had something you was striving for. But then you became black. You became all this foolishness, these euphemisms. Until now you don't know what you are. You don't even know whether or not you male or female. You're just a disgrace. 1954. That integration really blew your mind. You was better off when you was segregated as a Negro. You owned things. You strived for things. You had values.
Welcome back to CBS.
Now what you got? You ain't even a good cup of coffee. Come on, man, let's go.
A recent report highlights the shocking growth of child labor around the world. It shows between 2016 and 2020, the number of working children rose for the first time in 2 decades to 160 million. In Africa, more than 1 in 5 children works. In the West African country of Ghana, Deborah Patta saw kids working in the fishing industry under very troubling conditions.
The beauty of Lake Volta is deceptive. These are troubled waters. Thousands of children are fishing here. Some work in the family business. Many have been sold into modern-day slavery. Godwin labored on this lake for 5 years. Orphaned at 10, he was entrusted into the care of a man who promised to send him to school.
I didn't know that I was going to fish.
And at first, he didn't know how to swim.
Inside the waters, they said the place is deep. Let me see. That
Very
place
deep.
Is, deep. So I'm afraid to go down.
If he refused, he was beaten.
I was afraid. I was thinking, I don't know where my life will end that time. So I was there and I said, let me run away.
Eventually, he did escape, saved by Wallace, who works undercover and has rescued over 150 children for an international charity. We went out on the lake to see for ourselves. Rickety vessels filled with kids, adept at unraveling the fine mesh, and when those nets snag on submerged tree branches, they're forced to dive deep into the murky waters to untangle them. Adult work made easier by exploiting agile bodies and tiny hands. The eldest here claims the 9-year-old boy on this boat is his brother.
Well, how come the two brothers don't speak the same language?
That's what I'm telling you, that's something, the language barrier. You see?
Something odd.
It's a red flag. Another little boy, believe it or not, called Freedom.
Freedom? Where's your mom?
He too is from far away and speaks a completely different language to the others on the boat.
Within the space of half an hour, we've already come across 4 boats in which there could be potential trafficking. Do you see this often?
Yeah, we see this often. So, but when we see that, we come back to do our underground investigation.
Wallace gathers intel from sources in Freedom's village. Weeks later, he confirms the child had been trafficked, but it was too late to rescue him. He'd been moved, a tactic slave owners used to evade arrest.
During this entire time, we haven't seen a single official from either the police or the Navy who is supposed to be patrolling this water.
And so, children are easy prey.
Why do you think there is so much trafficking in this area?
It's due to poverty.
And poverty is all around us here. Desperate, extreme, persistent. It's not just boys who are trafficked. These sisters were snatched near their family home, only recently rescued. Their eyes tell of horrors they could not speak out loud. Warnings of trafficking abound, but they're not a deterrent, as we found out from this slave owner turned informant.
How much did you pay for a child?
500 Ghana cedis.
That's about $80.
But it's a human life. You bought a child. Is that not slavery?
That's how it is, he shrugs. Over 25 years, he's bought thousands of children.
What's the worst thing you ever did as a slave owner?
Forcing a kid who doesn't know how to swim to dive to the bottom of the lake, he told us. They could go down and never come up. So many children have died here. But there is another dreadful truth to hear.
You were sold into slavery?
By my father, he tells us. The child slave has become the master. Godwin refuses to go that route.
I wanted to go to school so that I become someone in the future. I didn't want to do fishing work.
He harbors no bitterness towards his abuser.
He have to be punished, but I forgive him.
How are you able to forgive him, Godwin? Such a hard time.
The unearned forgiveness of a boy whose childhood was stolen on this lake. Maybe this time the cycle has been broken. For CBS Mornings, Deborah Patter, Lake Volta, Ghana.
Now let me say this. See,
Unearned forgiveness is.
And then you say, well, why'd you be so amplified? Why'd you be so wow? That's why, right there. See, I was in Ghana and I saw some things. And one of the things that I learned is that, that whole thing of slavery, the way these people did us, that are many of us from Ghana, Nigeria, and other places, our ancestors, that turned into something else. But there's something over there. These people give atonement. We call it chamba. That's where those that are living offer to the slaves who served them during their lifetime. And they treat them and their status is elevated. Now, you don't want to hear that. You understand? But that's slavery. Right here as we speak. What you just saw, that's happening. But you saw that young brother. Did you see his spirit? He wasn't hollering racism. He wasn't looking for nobody to blame. He just saw it for what it was, but he knew he wanted to go to school. But you got yours here, and you won't even take him to school. And now they're paying you $1,000 a month to take your own kid to school. How great it is in America, huh? So, you keep wanting to romanticize about Africa, about this, about that. Man, let me tell you something. Those of you that ended up here, y'all really are forfeiting a great blessing because you ain't worthy. So many of you that are here now are not worthy. You should have died in the mud on the bottom of the river, like those children are doing in many cases. Because what you're doing with your life in America is an insult and a disgrace to creation. Oh, you don't want nobody to say that to you. I don't give a damn what you don't want. Say what I want to say. Because we around here playing games about whether or not we are female or male. Playing games about whether or not we should be smoking poison weed called cannabis. How foolish have we become? Think. But until next week, we're going to say Alafia. And the reason we're going to say it is peace and good health. But we got a lot of other stuff we're going to bring, but we ain't going to bring it today. We might bring it next week. I think we done had enough today. The spirit with those children there. That slavery there. That marijuana that Dr. Wesley talked about. But next week I will bring you the piece about what these white folks are saying about, they're going to overrule this thing with Fox, where they can make their own charges. And where the aldermen are saying, no, we're going to repeal this thing where she thinks she can make laws and we just here and we ain't elected. But I'm going to bring that next week. The flavor that came today, I wanted to stay right here. I don't want to contaminate it with this mess that's going on in the city. Till next week, Alafia. Peace and good health.